Welcome to Dovetail Learning's webinar, Lead with Strength. Boost your management skills with 5 resilient tools. I am Meri McCoy-Thompson, Executive Director. A little bit about me. I have 2 adult children who are recently married, and I have spent time caregiving for my parents. My mother had Alzheimer's for 7 years. I've lived and worked all over the world, mostly with nonprofits, education, and healthcare. And my motto has always been helping to empower others to live their best life. So before we dive into our resilient tools for managers, let's spend a moment on thinking about what challenges do we face as managers? We all know that the marketplace is changing so rapidly and we need to pivot quickly so often, especially today. Also, we have underperformance by employees. Sometimes that's due to unclear expectations. Maybe they're not motivated, they have conflicts, they don't know how to do teamwork, maybe they don't actually have the knowledge or skills to do our jobs. And that can be a challenging thing to manage. It's also really challenging to manage when there's financial and time challenges, when the budget is tight and we don't have the money we need to spend to do the work we're trying to do, when our workloads are really heavy and people feel tired and burned out. So please add any challenges you have to the chat. We know that these challenges can really weigh on us as managers, and that resilience is very helpful in these situations. Today, we're going to be looking at 5 tools for resilient managers. The first one is seeing patterns. What patterns can we see? And noticing those patterns can make a huge difference in how we react to situations. Then we have breathing mindfully. We have the skill of positive reframing. We have our collaborating skill of seeking agreements, and then the resilient mindset of choice. These are all part of the We Are Resilient framework. The We Are Resilient conceptual framework has all these patterns and skills and tools, mindsets that we all lay out. And our conceptual framework is something you can keep in your head if it's helpful. But the most important part is that we have a lot of concrete tools that you can use to make a difference in your life and the lives of the people that you manage, and your team and your organization and workforce. We also believe that it's really important to integrate these into our lived experience, and over time they change our hearts and how we're able to live and be in the world, and that makes a huge difference for us and the people we care about. Before we dive any further, let's spend a moment in thinking about resilience. What is it and how can it help? We define resilience the way most people do. It's the ability to adapt and respond to meet challenges effectively. One thing we'd like to note is that our resilience will be higher or lower in different situations. It's not a binary, you've got it or you don't. We all have it, which is why we call it We Are Resilient. But we can be going along, we get some news and we're off center, oh, it's horrible, and then we center ourselves, we feel better again, and then something else, and then so we just go up and down a lot, sometimes a lot in one day, and sometimes it's smoother. All of this work will never eliminate that completely, but it can make the ups and downs just a little smoother. Resilience also helps us thrive in uncertainty. When we're unsure of what's going to happen, which feels like it's so true now, resilience can help us thrive in those situations. And most importantly, our resilience can be strengthened through the practice of specific skills. This is why we teach skills, so that we can practice them, all of us can practice them and become more resilient and more able to handle all the challenges that life throws at us. The most important part of that part is that we encourage micro practices, not huge changes in how you are. You're not going to be called to live in an ashram somewhere, but just little micro practices that with intention, they can change your trajectory. These are often things you already kind of know about. You have a sense, oh, maybe I should be doing this or that, but we want you to be more intentional. And those being more intentional about our micro practices can make a huge difference to you and the people that you work with over time. So again, resilience is an ordinary superpower. It does not come from rare and special qualities, but from the everyday magic of being human. Resilience is also the awareness, mindset, and skills to create the best version of ourselves so we can contribute to our family, our workplace and community, and the world in the way that we want to. Resilience helps us in so many ways. It helps us navigate stress, handle the issues that we struggle with. It helps us navigate challenges. It also helps us connect better with people, help others better. It helps promotes our health, and we can stop being judgmental. So it's a wonderful tool, and we love sharing about it. Let's talk about our first resilient tool. It's the tool of seeing patterns. So what kind of management challenges can this tool help us with? Maybe we're double checking our work so much that we're falling behind. Or maybe we're stuck in perfection mode, trying to make everything perfect, and that just stresses us out and our team members out. Or maybe we're avoiding those tough conversations that we need to have with some of the team members or maybe our colleagues. Let's talk about our stress reaction. So we're going along, we're maybe at a team meeting and somebody brings up a point, and maybe that's about a conflict that's happening or a cost effective thing that's not happening. The stress event happens and our protective patterns occur. And we go into a peak, and it can take us a long time to calm down. Maybe we feel really depleted afterwards, right? So that's really important to be aware of, and it doesn't feel too good. If we can manage our stress curve, when that stress event happens, we'll notice our protective patterns and wonder and assess, is that helpful? Then we can choose our resilience skills, and then we calm down. So it's just important to manage our stress curve. We still go up, but we're in the green zone, maybe a little yellow, and not all the way into the red. And that feels so much better. We don't spend so much time being depleted, and we can handle our life and the situations that we're thrown in much better. This all is caused by our reactive resilience. That's how we react to the world when we're feeling vulnerable, and they give us our protective patterns. Our protective patterns emerge when we feel unsafe, maybe a little bit or maybe a lot. We might feel physically, emotionally, socially, mentally, or economically unsafe. And when we feel a little vulnerable, we react in a certain way. And most of us react to all those ways at one point, but maybe we have one or two go-tos. And my one or two go-tos tend to be avoiding. So certain situations happen and I pretend I don't see them, or I might attack. I might just go right in and why is this happening? Da, 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 which is also not super helpful some of the time, right? This is what a protective pattern is. So let's look at two of our protective patterns first. Distrusting. That's when we are downing ourselves. Oh, I don't think I can do this right. I can't take on this promotion. I can't take on these extra challenges, or I'm trying to do a project and I'm stuck. I don't know where I'm going with it. Or maybe we're downing others. Those people I don't think that team member is going to do the work that they're supposed to do. I don't think they're doing it effectively. I think they're causing trouble. So we're kind of distrusting everybody around us, right? Hypervigilance is when we're on constant high alert. What danger is going to happen? Okay, I think the numbers are going to come in bad today. I don't think we're going to make our sales quotas. I don't think that we're going to be able to hire that person. We're always thinking in negative terms and things are going to go badly. Both of these protective patterns can be helpful. Maybe that person that came to us, maybe they are not trustworthy, or maybe we do need to spend more time on a particular project because we don't really know what we're doing. Hypervigilance, maybe it is important. Maybe we're in a situation where we need to be aware that the numbers are falling and things aren't looking good for us, and so we have to be in high alert. The flip side is maybe it's hurting. Maybe we're spending so much time looking for danger that we're not looking for bright spots and we're not the positive presence that our team members need. Or maybe the distrusting is hurting. Maybe even though we don't feel like we should, maybe we really do have enough information to become that manager or take the promotion that we're distrusting of ourselves for. So it's important to think about, is this helping or not in each situation? And noticing patterns is the tool that we can use. Is this a pattern that's helping or hurting? Two other protective patterns, hyper caretaking. That's when we're over prioritizing others at our own expense. And maybe we're enabling people. Maybe we're taking over work that somebody really should be doing and we're doing it for them. Maybe we're avoiding a difficult conversation or avoiding doing a project that we're supposed to do that we don't really want to do or don't feel successful at, right? So those are things that maybe not be helpful, or maybe it is helpful. Maybe by not doing that project, somebody else does it and that's useful, or maybe taking over somebody else's work, maybe they're not really up to it. So understanding in each situation, I'm using my protective pattern of avoiding. Let's see if that's helping. Or I'm using my protective pattern of hyper-taking. I think that's not helpful this time, so what else should I do? So noticing the pattern is really key. Defending and attacking are the last two. Defending is when we're we act like others are constantly judging and criticizing us. Somebody comes at us, I didn't do it, or I'm not responsible, or what do you think? I don't know what I'm talking about. So we can defend ourselves or attacking. Why did you do this? And you should have done that. Again, sometimes we need to do both those things. Sometimes it's important to stand up for ourselves or others, whether we're defending or attacking. And sometimes it's not helpful at all. So noticing the pattern and making a decision, that's the key here. It's seeing, why does it matter? We have to see patterns in and understand our own behavior and reactions. That'll help us make corrections and make us more effective over time. As I said, any of these patterns, noticing, distrusting, hypervigilance, hyper caretaking, avoiding, defending, or attacking is the key here. Understanding that every human being has impeccable reasons for being exactly who they are. In other words, don't judge us. Don't judge yourself for using a protective pattern. It's normal and it can be protective. And notice whether it's helping in each situation, right? And that's true for the people that we work with, both our supervisors and our colleagues and our team members. Understanding that all of us are going to use protective patterns at a certain time, and being able to notice those patterns and understanding, oh, people are acting out of their vulnerability. That can be a real strength when you understand that people are using their protective patterns because they feel vulnerable. It helps us interact with people in a different way. How do we implement the tool? Again, we just pause and notice the behavior. What's really going on here? Am I using a protective pattern? Am I distrusting myself? Maybe I'm hypervigilant, and that's why I'm being so into being perfect and controlling of the situation. Maybe I'm avoiding difficult conversations. I'm thinking, is it helping or hurting? Can I choose a resilient skill instead? The second tool we want to talk about is breathing mindfully. This is a really helpful tool we can use in any situation. We can use it if our costs are going to escalate, or we've lost a major client, a team member has made a major mistake. So people are doing all these things. How do we react? We start with breathing mindfully, right? Breathing mindfully is breathe deeply, feel it completely. We can ask ourselves, where in my body do I feel my breath? This is a somatic skill. So the more we feel it in our breath, the more we feel our breath in our body, the more we're moving into the skill of breathing mindfully. What are the sensations that I feel? How does conscious breathing impact me? So taking the feeling. We're going to do it all together. Bear with me for just 45 seconds. We're going to do it all together and feel the breath in your body as the little cartoon explains it.
We can get overwhelmed sometimes. So take a deep breath in, out. How do you feel as you breathe in? How do you feel as you breathe out? Notice as the breath enters your body, how your breath exhales. Hopefully you feel a bit better now. You're doing great.
So that's obviously a skill you can use at any time in any situation, and there's so much science behind this. So typically we're using in our sympathetic nervous system, we're using involuntary breath. We're not paying attention to it, and we can be in a lot of stress and have all this cortisol in our body. But just by using our breath, voluntary, it drops us into our parasympathetic nervous system. Our vagus nerve is activated, connects the amygdala and as our lungs expand, and it calms everything down when our vagus nerve is activated. It's a wonderful tool that we can use at any time. Why does it matter? It helps us think more clearly, and then we can respond carefully rather than reacting under pressure. So we hear news, we don't have to react. We take a deep breath, maybe two, and then we can respond more carefully. The micro practices just get used to breathing mindfully on a regular basis. And I like to do it at stop signs or stop lights. Maybe when we begin meetings, all the meetings at Dovetail Learning, we start by breathing mindfully together. Before I begin a presentation, just take a deep breath before I go in, and I know that I'm going to be calmer and can think more clearly. Or anytime I feel I'm getting tense, whether it's about the costs going up or losing clients or mistakes that are being made, you can just take a deep breath. We breathe deeply, we feel completely. It feels wonderful. The third tool we're going to talk about is positive reframing. Positive reframing, again, many challenges we can use it that maybe our staff is resisting an important change or team has had a lot of conflict. It changes the view for a new you. I remember I was working for one organization and we were not doing well. We were not getting the clients and the revenue that we would need to succeed. And I had a mentor suggest positive reframing for me, and it totally changed how I viewed how the organization was working. I was able to see the obstacles, all the obstacles, as opportunities for change, and we were able to turn around the organization. It's always, how can I see the current situation from a different perspective, right? So it's helpful to understand we live in the worlds our conversations create. So we create narratives about how and why things are working. And when we look at things a different way, we switch our glasses with an alternative perspective, we can create a more empowering story that has maybe positive intent. We can change those mistakes into what kind of learning can we get from those mistakes? Or the obstacles. Oh, we're not getting the clients. We don't have the revenue. What kind of opportunities are available now in a completely different work environment than we had before? Maybe someone's negativity is just a misunderstanding. So many things we can do when we positive reframe situations. The most important point and why it matters, it helps us stay solution focused. Instead of being mired in the problems and the negativity, we can be solutions focused. There's so much science around this. It alters our physical reactions. It involves accessing our own sense of control, and it is empowering. It involves self-compassion. So how do we use this? How do we implement the tool? We think the micro practices here are what else could be true in this situation? So we have this, the market's changed, but what else could be true? What is the most empowering story I can tell about this? And thinking about this can be a really powerful change in the way our brain is functioning. For example, when we're looking at the resistance of staff to an important change, understanding that maybe it's signaling some unmet needs that we need to talk about and listen with them rather than just like they're being horrible and they're not meeting what I want them to do, right? But understanding what's actually going on for them can be a big change in how we view it and actually open up some opportunities maybe we hadn't heard of. If the team is in the middle of a conflict, understanding that's a growth opportunity for me as a manager, as I think about how I'm going to handle the conflict. It's also a growth opportunity for them as they figure out how to work together better, right? So all these things can be seen as negative or positive, and thinking about it as positive gives us energy that allows us to solve the problem in a new way. The fourth tool I want to talk about is seeking agreements. What kind of management challenges is this helpful for? Maybe your team meetings are not being productive. Maybe your team is not achieving goals. Have everybody actually been allowed to voice what they think is important and allow and create some agreements together? So seeking agreements is same page, same chapter, same book, right? So we have to ask ourselves, what explicit agreements do we need so we can work well together and achieve our purpose? Are there some assumed agreements? How can I seek and name agreements around this? It's important to realize when we seek agreements, we have some curiosity. We all work together about what agreements we could have. For example, if our team meetings aren't going well, we can have an open session with our team saying, what kind of agreements would help our team be more productive? Often they're around purpose and task. We're not getting done what we need to get done. Do we have action items? Do we have people named who are supposed to do things? Do we have deadlines coming up? Do we have agendas? All those sorts of things. Basically, who will do the tasks that need to get done and how will they be doing? Are they explicit, named with accountability so people can follow that, right? And they can come up with other ways to achieve our purpose and task. That's just one suggestion. Another suggestion, though, that's really important is also to look at agreements around culture and dynamics. How are we going to be together? Maybe your team has a habit of backstabbing each other. So naming a team agreement that we're not going to gossip with one person instead of taking it to the other person that our conflict with, that's a team agreement. And by having everybody agree, when people are acting out or not following the team agreements, they actually hold each other accountable. And so it increases your team positivity and promotes a healthy dynamic with people. Again, it prevents conflict and promotes healthy team dynamics. That's why it matters. So the research, lots of research on this as well. Groups that create agreements are better able to handle disruptive events, which we know are going to happen. And they're more positive with each other, which means people enjoy being together. And that means they're voicing the things that they need to voice. They might be holding back on things that can improve all your workspace, that it can improve your culture and maybe improve the product that you're trying to create. People often do not say the things that they know can improve something if they don't feel safe, and agreements can help people feel more safe together. Micro practices are creating those agreements both on how to be together and what we need to do and how we will do it. The other thing is when misunderstandings happen, which they will because we're all human, there are opportunities to seek agreement. We can ask for clarification and create agreement on how to move forward. Oh, you didn't understand that you need to get something from Sally before Ben can do it. So next time, that's the agreement. You're going to talk to Sally before you talk to Ben. Sometimes those simple agreements can make all the difference. The fifth tool that we're going to talk about is the mindset of choice. This can be used, for example, in things like maybe your team is burned out and not functioning well, or maybe some unethical decisions are being made in your organization. Sometimes we just get so caught in our fixed mindset and resigned, I can't do anything. And understanding that we always have a choice. And choice involves tapping into knowing that we have our own agency and we can make decisions on things. It's assessing what possibilities are out there and making choices. The greatest human discovery is that by changing the inner attitudes of our minds, we change the outer aspects of our lives. That's very powerful. It involves a space between the stimulus and the response, and that space is our power to choose our freedom, and our response lies our growth and our freedom. So that's space between a stressor and the impact of stress, that's where we have a choice. We can have a choice in how we respond. We can use our breathing mindfully, for example, or maybe another resilient skill before we actually have a reaction to the stress, and it will change everything. It makes a huge difference. Why does it matter? It helps us claim our own agency and ensures our actions are aligned with our values. So we're doing what we think is important because we made a choice, and not kind of just like, well, I'll see what happens. It's like, no, I'm going to make a choice. And every time we don't make a choice, we are also making a choice. It becomes a default mechanism, and that's not necessarily helpful to us, and it's certainly not ensuring that we're the best managers that we can be. So the micro practice is I always have a choice in how I respond. I have a choice, and I can be an advocate for my team, and I can advocate for myself. If everybody's burned out and not working effectively, we can have a choice in how we do that. And in certain situations, we may have to make the choice to walk away. Of course, all these choices have implications, and it's important to understand those too. But understanding we have the power of choice is the first part of it, and then assessing which choice we want to make is also important. All these skills, all these tools are part of the We Are Resilient approach. So we have patterns, and we've talked about our protective patterns. We also have our cultural patterns. We've talked about the mindset of choice, and we have other mindsets we talk about. And we talked about two of our centering skills today: positive reframing and breathing mindfully. We have four others. We also have connecting skills, and we've talked about the one of our collaborating skills, seeking agreements. We have many more things that are covered on our website in so many other ways, in our other webinars, our videos. One of the things I'd like to end with is just knowing that we can have anticipatory resilience. So we see things coming up, whether it's a market call, whether it's something to do with our pricing, whether it's a customer, whether it's to do with our clients. And we can anticipate that's going to be challenging. Which resilient skill am I going to choose in advance? So when the stress event comes, I don't even have to go up at all. I'm already remained centered and thinking is more clearly. So think about this as your manager's your manager's toolkit, whether you're seeing patterns, the protective patterns, breathing mindfully, positive reframing, our centering skills, seeking agreements, which is a collaborating skills, or using the resilient mindset of choice. We have many more research skills to help, as you notice. And know that for all of these, intentional micro practices will change your trajectory. So just think of one that you're going to try first, whether it's seeing patterns, breathing mindfully, positive reframing, seeking agreements, or mindset of choice. Think about the one that might help you today and try that tool. Remember that a resilient manager is grounded, flexible, and connected, and that is what we wish for all of us. Our mission at Dovetail Learning is strengthening resilience in adults, youth, and children. Our vision is a world of kind, connected human beings. All of our training materials you can download and use for free, adapted for use in your community. All we ask is that you give attribution when you use our work and collaborate and share back and share alike with the same Creative Commons license. So many resources available. We have open education resources that I mentioned. We have a new advice column called Ms. Resilient, which gives a fun answer to a lot of questions that people ask about different things. It's an easy twice a week in your inbox on Substack. Video learning and our coaching and online courses. So you can get individual coaching, you can take online courses, or we can create custom courses for your team or your workplace. We have the Heart of Resilience book, which includes a lot of stories about how all of these things work in real life. We have more than 100 people's stories in that book, and it explains a lot about more in depth on how to use these various tools. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this was useful for you. We're always looking for feedback, so looking forward to that. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.